Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A2B podcast, your number one source for military entrepreneurship and entertainment. This podcast is brought to you guys by Noble Fitness and Ramos Capital. Guys, like always, I am joined by my co-host, Barry El Toro. Boo! ¿Qué onda ese?
I grew out my mustache.
Well, I mean, you look like a bull rider. You know, the people that have.
If you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The
I'm
guy
not
with
saying I'm horny, but bulls. I'm just saying because they have horns. That's what I meant by that.
How you been, Barry? You been good?
Very, very good. Life is good. I can't complain. You know, I'm glad to be here for another Tuesday with another amazing guest.
Yes, let's get into it, guys. You guys know who this guest is, not only because of social media, because he's the second repeat coming on the podcast. Last time he was on the podcast, we talked about his life. We talked about leadership, more specifically leadership at the sergeant level, right? So he came back and he wants to talk about some other stuff, and we're going to get right into it, guys. So you might be thinking, who am I talking about? Well, guys, I'm talking about none else that YR Elf, El Gallo Negro, Tony.
What is the word? Albert, Barry, thank y'all for having me again on the A to B podcast. Pleasure to be here. I'm back again because, like you said, I was at the sergeant level, you know, but now I'm taking that step up. I got selected for staff, and I've been in the staff SNCO IC position for, I think, about a little over a year now. But
Wow.
now I'm understanding.
Oh, okay.
What understanding? What are you understanding now?
Understanding of just how you have to. Leadership is hard. It's very hard, and finding the style to please your superiors and then also please your subordinates at the same time. I know there's always a mission at hand, but I feel like the military is leaning more towards taking care of Marines, you know, on the personal aspect. So that's something that I feel like is being more leaned upon now compared to what it used to be back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
I thought it was just all about toxic leadership. That's what I'm getting out.
I know I said that.
But we're going to hold you to it. We're going to hold you to it.
I know I said that.
I think you fucked up coming back.
It's different when you get on the other side of the glass,
It's
right?
very different. It's just so much. And
Okay,
like,
but let's take it step by step, right?
Okay.
Because obviously, like, you're going through all these emotions right now. So let's talk about when you started in the leadership position. How did you get that leadership position?
so I came from Kansas City to Camp Pendleton, and
Oh, Kansas City. We gonna talk about that?
The Super Bowl was
about the Super Bowl.
the Super Bowl was on Sunday, you guys. That was 2 days ago. If you're watching this,
I
Yeah.
set myself up. I shouldn't. Have.
So
You
were.
I came from
yeah.
my previous duty station
Yeah,
to Camp
okay.
Pendleton, and I was told I was going to be going to the SOI West 52 area as a staff SNCO IC. I was like, all right, cool. I've never been in a staff SNCO IC position. My last unit, it was all sergeants, so it wasn't like I was babysitting anyone. And before I came to, you know, I was a sergeant for about maybe like a month, and then a PCA or PCS. Never really had the time to, I guess, be in that leadership position. So once I got to, you know, SOI West, I was in charge of, I think, 24, 26 Marines, and that's the most Marines I've ever been in charge of. And I know there's Marines out there that have been in charge of hundreds, or we're not talking about you right now. You got that. I don't even want to imagine.
well, first of all, 20 plus is a lot, though.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
100%.
And so just the 24 that I had is just different personalities, different styles of, you know, trying to get to know them, the kneecap to kneecap, showing them that, like, I don't know, you can show a Marine that you care, but still to feel like you don't. It's just so
Did
many,
they care about your social media presence?
and I feel like that has a big, like, play in how, I guess, my interactions go with a lot of Marines, because they see they've only seen me on social media, so when they see me in person, I guess they didn't really know what to expect. And at first, I kind of wanted to keep that cool guy. I'm the guy from TikTok, but it started to interfere too much with day-to-day, you know, work. And
Give us an example. Like,
I feel like people don't take me serious, and I have to do not extreme things, but start to yell, curse, do things of that nature to show them that I'm being serious without, it shouldn't be like because there's a couple of situations where I have told a Marine to do, X, Y, and Z, and not saying it was gaffed off, but it was like, let's joke about this because he's a joking guy. We can joke about this, right, Sergeant? And I'm like, no, this is not the time and place for that. I need you to do this, like, right now. Went to go do what I had to do. Came back, he was joking around. I'm like, what are you doing? Asking him, like, why did you not get this task done? He was like, well, I just thought that, I don't even remember what the fuck he said, honestly. But it was just like...
He just didn't get it done.
He just went red. He just went to the red.
He left you on red.
He left me on red and then didn't even like respond a week later. So it was just a situation where I was brand new. And so I didn't really like establish myself as the... I don't know. As a staff SEAL, I felt like you had to be the bad guy. I really feel like you have to be the bad guy.
That's what we call it.
We are coming full circle, everybody.
That's what we calling it. That's what we call it. The dark side. It's like you stay in long enough. You either what's that saying? It's like you either die the good guy or live long enough to become the bad guy. I think there's a saying like that. Okay, so you started having these instances of where Marines were not taking you seriously, or maybe not taking you seriously, but not as seriously as you would have hoped.
Yeah.
And you said that it was because of your social media presence. Okay, so talk to us about to what moment is it that you realize oh man, now I understand why is it that Staff Sergeant such and such said this or behaved like this or said something made us do X, Y, and Z. Did that happen?
A little bit, and that's why I came back and I came back for guidance because it was I think month 2. I was in a situation where I thought about why a previous leader that I had did a certain took a certain situation and dealt with it the way that he did, and now that I'm in the situation that kind of he was. I look back, I was like, so this is why Staff Sergeant so-and-so did this. And I don't even really know how to verbally explain just how hard or how I guess difficult it is to be the social media guy and then also be the Staff SNCO. Because they look at my social media and then they'll also be like, well, Staff Sergeant, I know that you said this, but your social media says this. And it's hard to explain to them that, it's two different realities. Social media is one character, and then in person is completely different. And I guess in the midst of that, that's where a lot of the, I would say disrespect came into play, but that's where
from them to you.
Yes.
Okay. What would be an example of that disrespect besides obviously the one that you just shared, which was that the Marine didn't complete the task that he was told? Is there a blatant disrespect of yeah, we're not doing that, or yeah, I'm not doing that?
Never had anything that far with my own Marines, but as far as in a situation where I had a Marine use not my social media against me, but he was like, hey Sergeant, I know that you said this, but on social media you're doing this. And I was kind of put in a situation fuck, how do I get myself out of the situation and just explain to this Marine that.
Are you able to be more specific with it or no?
Not can't be too, because I don't really remember the details of the conversation.
And regardless of the details are really not relevant. I think that the details are not relevant.
Yeah.
And you'll find out here why I'm gonna tell you that the details are not relevant.
But outside of that, I guess I got some questions for y'all if I can flip it right now.
Course. Yeah.
So my first question is, coming into a new unit, how do you present yourself? How did y'all I guess establish? I mean, I know that you have the initial counseling that you have with the Marines. You have the get together, but what do you all I guess put in place or say to your Marines to get that standing guideline across, for everybody?
You said something very important, right? What do you say to your Marines? The problem is that in my opinion, 90% of the new staff NCOs that arrive to a unit, they're all about saying things. And the problem is that what you did at your previous command or what you did, in combat or whatever situation it is, that means absolutely nothing to the Marines that you're leading today. So, and a lot of people always tend to go with the saying, right? Oh, I said that I did this, but then when you get to meet the Marines realize like, well, that's not what you're doing for us. So what I always do when I get to a unit or when I got to a unit, in reality, any type of work environment, what I did was I observed everything. I would spend at least a week observing, and I would get very, very detailed with the Marines. I'll be like, okay, so Marine, how you doing? My name is Gunny Ramos. How you doing, man? You doing good? Oh, okay, perfect. So let me ask you this, man. What do you do? I just ask him to, what do you do? And if the Marine didn't know what the fuck he was doing, like I could tell, right? Like I could tell that the Marine didn't know, but I would still ask him, like, what do you do? Okay, good. If a Lance Corporal doesn't know, I'm not blaming the Lance Corporal. I already know that there's a leadership problem at the NCO level, supervision problem. And then I would go to the NCO. And usually the NCO would bitch about their staff NCOs. Oh, well, we don't get no support from the staff NCOs, blah, 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 whatever. And then I would just simply listen. I will not say absolutely anything for at least a week or two, depending on how bad it was, right? And then I would go to the staff NCOs and I'll be like, so talk to me about the Marines. And then they would tell me, oh, you got to watch out for this one. You got to watch out for this one. This one is your go-getter. This one is whatever. And then I would simply observe the interactions that staff NCOs had with their junior Marines. And I will observe the interactions that NCOs had with their junior Marines. And then from there, I would start, I will bring everybody together. And I'll be like, okay, so based on what you guys are telling me, this is what's messed up. This is what's messed up. This is what we could be doing better. This is what we're doing good. Am I understanding you guys correctly? Because what you're really giving them is the rope to hang themselves. Because if they confirmed your understanding of what's really going on in a situation, then they can't come back later and be like, oh, yeah, by the way, we didn't say that. That's not what we meant. That's not what we said. No, you're confirming your understanding right then and there. And that's when I got to work. Because, and I'm going to give you an example. In my last duty station, and I'm sorry, Barry, I'm going to let you go. But in my last duty station, I had a group of sergeants that this shit happened like clockwork, like exactly how I'm telling you, right? Junior Marines will complain about their NCOs. NCOs will complain about the junior Marines and the staff NCOs, and all the staff NCOs will complain about all the Marines, right? And it was like, okay, Marines, like, what do y'all need from me? That was my question. Like, what do y'all need from me? Oh, well, we've been asked. And the Marines were already fucking fed up because the Marines were like, well, here goes. This is another staff NCO that's all about this, right? And guess what I did? I was like, hey, y'all want this? Go home. I'll take care of it. But guess what? Tomorrow morning, this is what needs to get done. This is what needs to get done. This is what needs to get done. No micromanagement. There's going to be no staff NCO here with you in the mornings. No micromanagement. Next morning, I will get up. And I'll be like, hey, let me see. We had like a little checklist. Be like, let me see the checklist. Boom. This is messed up. This is messed up. This is messed up. This is messed up. I didn't look at the Marines. I looked at the sergeant. Sergeant, come here. Didn't you tell me yesterday that you were fed up about the staff NCOs complaining to you? Yes or no? Yes. What is this? How come this list of shit is fucked up? Do you know how to do this? Because if the problem's training, we can train you. Do you know how to do this? Yes, but the problem is that... No, there's no problem, dog. Like, I told you to go home, and you did not have the initiative in order for you to ensure that you... So how can I give you trust if I can't trust you? See how you flipped it? See how you... Some people will call this gaslighting. But in reality, what you're doing is you're holding people accountable.
Yeah.
Because if you are doing everything that they tell you, and I'm upholding my side of the bargain, they don't uphold this side of the bargain. That's when people don't get held accountable.
Now, when do you feel the need to, I guess, include like micromanaging? Like what would it take? For,
Micromanagement will never get you will never get you anywhere. And let me tell you why. Because people that micromanage, the people that work from a micromanagement or micromanager feel that they work for that person instead of with that person. Let me put you an example. And Barry, after this, I'm gonna let you take the floor. So let me put you an example, right? In that situation, I got all the sergeants together. And I was like, sergeants, what the fuck is going on? Because I would tell the sergeants, y'all complain that y'all here until 18:30, right? So let's change that. What time can you get the job done? What time? Just give me a time. I'm not going to tell. If you tell me it's 1700, 1800, 1900, I'll stay here with you. I don't care. But what time are you going to tell me? Is it go? Oh, yeah, we can get this done at 1430. 1430 rolls around. I'll get all the sergeants. So like, sergeants, how long until we can get everything done? Well, what happened was, and in one of these meetings, one of the sergeants says something under his breath and then slams the door behind him.
Wow.
Yeah. That's when I went like full fucking blown like Sergeant or Corporal fucking Ramos on his ass. He knows who he is. His name is Stasser on Lamberside. I'm gonna give him a shout out. He's a great Marine. But I went and got him and I fucking chewed his ass in front of everybody. And guess what? That moment, I could have been like, you're getting paperwork like a little fucking bitch. You're getting a 6105. Yeah. But if I would have done that, he would have worked for me and not with me. Next morning, I roll around and I be like, hey, here's this, man. Here's this paperwork. Do you understand what you did wrong? Yeah, I understand what I did wrong and I apologize. I ripped the paperwork right then and there. It's like, brother, you don't deserve this. I can tell that you're a good Marine. You just been led wrong. So guess what, man? I have no hard feelings against you. You simply don't let it happen again. That was the very last time that I had to give Sergeant Lamberside a command. After that, every single time afterwards, everything will be done proactively. That made my job easier, and that made his job easier. And the Marines loved it, Barry.
All right, repeat the question, please.
So my question was, whenever you go when you're first on deck at a new unit, how do you establish, I guess, your expectations amongst the masses? And especially since this is from a higher level for you. Yeah. Because then you got your mass sergeants and then...
Right. So, number one, the Marines already got you figured out before you showed up, especially for you, okay? These guys got you pegged. They were all talking about it. Soon as you hit the inbound roster, they knew that you were going to be there. As a sergeant major, they knew, man. They know, right? Because what do you do when a CO or a sergeant major leaves? You got a big ceremony, all this stuff. Dog, the S1 Marines are putting your info out there to the streets. Y'all already know. Okay, now here's what I tell people. There is no formula, right? I always used to hear this, okay? Wait 90 days before you make any changes. Wait 30 days. Make changes right away. Come in like a hammer. Here's the deal. There's no formula. It's fluid. Just as different as this guy is from the next guy, okay? And just like Albert said, you come in, you observe, you ask, you listen, okay? I didn't go in there and try to be somebody that I wasn't. Anytime you try to be somebody that you're not, people are going to see you as fake because that's what you're being, is fake. People don't like a fake leader, man. Just be you. Who you are and what you are got you to where you need to be. I told the guy this yesterday, matter of fact. The first step of leadership, the first step in the leadership continuum is leading your damn self. Okay. And most people, they don't understand how to do that. We just, as you know, we had Isaac the Dream on here. What was one of the first things that he brought up about what was so impactful to him about his leaders? It was how they looked. It was how fit they were. It was how fit they looked. It was even how good they smelled. Now, that only gets you so far, right? When you're a new, Nicky new boot coming out of boot camp, right? Once you start to learn your MOS, you got to keep all that stuff, but now we're adding the MOS proficiency. You got to be good at your job. You can't be the I don't know person. Mm-hmm. Okay? You show up to a new unit. What are actual actionable steps that you can take? Well, number one, you need to speak to the Marines. It's not really good to see you walking around and they're like, is that the new guy? I'm not really sure. I think that's him. There should be some type of address, even if it's only 30 seconds. Hey, how's it going? This is who I am. My name's Sergeant Major Barry Bull. I'm the new Sergeant Major here. Even if that's all it is, right? From that point forward, what I did was you need to get people on your calendar. I'm big on the calendar. If it don't hit the calendar, it ain't going to happen, okay? Sit every Marine down. Hey, I'm going to be putting each one of you guys on my calendar, and we're going to sit down individually. And what are some things we're going to talk about when I sit you down individually? Well, first and foremost, I need to get to know you, right? Who are you? Where are you from? Why'd you join? I'm going to have a bunch of questions for you about you outside of the uniform. Some of them will be inside of the uniform as well, okay? A couple other things I'm going to want to know. What's good? What's bad? What should we change? What needs to stay the same? What's your job? Albert talked about that. Hey, man, instead of, here's the thing that I've learned as a leader, and Albert he was nailing it. You don't have to have all the answers. Far from it. You just got to ask the right questions and then listen. They're going to give you the answers to the test.
They sure will.
They're going to give you those answers. Hey, this needs to stay the same. This needs to change. This guy's crushing it. Everybody hates this guy because he's out to freaking lunch. He says 5 inappropriate things before chow every single day. Whatever it is, right? You are taking note of this stuff. Doesn't mean you need to change anything or not change anything, but you're taking note, you're paying attention, you're present in the moment. You get those guys and gals on your calendar, sit down and get to know them, they're going to know that you care because they don't care how much you know until they know that. All right? You get to know them, okay? And here's what I learned being at a very high level of leadership is I'm not going to say that lower level staff NCOs and NCOs don't know how to lead because that's not true at all. But what they don't understand is the layers to leadership. You see, as a sergeant and a brand new staff sergeant, you can float some happy, slappy shit to the PFCs because they don't know their way around the chow hall. But when you're dealing with Gunny Ramos, who's been on SDAs, he's been on deployments, he's been in combat, he's been here.
I haven't been in combat, but okay.
Well, but I'm just saying though.
I've been in combat theater.
Combat zone, excuse me.
Yeah.
But you've been around. Okay. You ain't taking a Gunny Ramos and throwing some freaking just smoke and mirrors. He's gonna be like, Sergeant Major, that's not true.
Yeah.
You know?
I will be the one too.
Yeah.
I will be the one.
And that's what a lot of people don't understand. There's layers. See, as a Sergeant Major, you're leading leaders who lead leaders who develop other leaders. Okay, you're dealing with a first sergeant who has 7 deployments. That's a little bit different than a PFC who's never PCS. They've never been outside of the freaking warehouse or whatever the case is, okay?
Yeah.
And they are eating out of your hand like a baby bird, right? It ain't that way the further that you go. But when you show up, those are actionable things that I would do. And I'll tell you, if you do that, I helped a guy do this, and he's out there. And Watkins, I'll never forget our conversations, and I miss you, brother, and I know you got out, and you're crushing it. He went from the worst platoon to the best, and all he did was follow my advice, and I said, get every single Marine on your calendar on a regular basis. You have this many Marines, you can definitely have each one of them on your calendar every 30 days. What are you talking with those Marines about? You're going to do a couple of things, okay? You're going to get to know them. You're going to make sure they're getting their qualifications, and you're going to make them the most competitive, promotable Marines in the unit. Because who the hell is going to get pissed when they get promoted? Nobody, right?
Yep.
Hey,
You gotta be careful with it when you go like this. You just don't go like this, okay?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But you know, here's the thing: is when I remember sitting on these NCO promotion panels, and these Marines come in there, and I'm like yelling at the gunny because when the Marine's not in there, the gunny's sitting there like, well, he just hasn't signed up for his PME Sergeant Major, and it's like, okay, let me ask you a question, Gunny. Do the Marines get to decide when they come to work, when they go home, when they go to chow, when they do this, when they go on leave? No, that's me. I run the shop. Oh, you run the shop when the shit's convenient for you. But then, right, when it's time to like actually drive the bus and lead, suddenly we want more initiative. Why don't you just say it's choose your own adventure, and you're not really driving these guys and gals to be better individuals, man. I didn't even know to sign up for my PME in the damn S3, let alone where it was located at.
Yeah.
We got to give those Marines that. So when you're sitting down having those I would start right there. Sit them down, have a conversation. You can get every single Marine at least one time on your calendar in 1 month's time.
Let me add something to everything that we're talking about, right? At the end of the day, regardless of the conversations that you're having with the Marines, the number one thing that's going to make you or break you is ensuring that you are meeting the commander's intent. So all the professional conversations that you have with your Marines regarding the shop, they all have to meet commander's intent. Because if you remember again, the PFC don't know what the PFC don't know. Even the corporal and the sergeants don't know what because they're not looking at the commander's intent. They're not understanding what the actual big picture mission is. Because the PFC on the ground is supporting a MEF level mission, and they just don't see that, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you have to understand what the commander's intent. Best way put, at the staff NCO level, you have to be a master language translator. You got to know how to talk NCO, you got to know how to talk staff NCO, and you got to know how to talk officer. Because each one of those things, you're going to be, and since you're in the middle, right? You got to learn to translate what the officer is saying in words that the PFC and the sergeant is going to be able to take action on. Because the commander intent is just going to tell you, we need to support this. This is the staff NCO's job level to translate that into, okay, that means is that today we need to transport 500 boxes, or we need to get the promotion warrants to X amount of Marines, and we need to do this.
Commander's intent is the 50,000 foot perspective. The staff NCO's job is to translate that, like Albert just said very, very well. The CO and the commander, they're not going to tell you do A, B, and C exactly like this. That's where your job comes in.
Yeah. And that's when a lot of problems come in as well. Oh, but go ahead, man. We got stuck in like one question.
I know.
Shit, like I had one question, but got answered like literally so many in just. Well, let me go through and just look.
You know, and I'll say this too, as you're looking, I used to tell people this, and leaders think that they're exempted from this. You only have one opportunity to make a good first impression. So, you know, you got to come in and just, like I said, man, be you. I think the fact that you have the humor that you do, it's going to be more of a benefit than it is a hindrance. I know you've already expressed some challenges with that, and I respect that. But anyways, go ahead.
So to touch on that a little bit, I mean, I do see that it could be beneficial, but as of so far, maybe it's, you know, something that I'm doing on my part. I've definitely looked at myself a lot ever since I've been in the staff and CO role, and I feel like I'm not giving myself enough grace, you know, because I want to be, you know, the best thing that I can be for my Marines, but sometimes I just feel like I'm not meeting that mark. And I mean, that's why I came back to just try to get some type of insight. I've talked with leaders, you know, in the fleet, but I feel like, you know, you got, you know, 20 plus years of experience. You got a lot of experience. And just from some of the experiences that I've heard from y'all on social media, and even like, you know, outside of the podcast and things like that, I know that y'all could better help me get to, you know, I guess that position. So my next follow-on question is, how do you set priorities for your team and focus, you know, the attention for all of the Marines?
You want to take this one first, Barry?
Yeah, what do you mean exactly by team?
So, I mean, as far as like from in your individual platoon, right? So let's say that you have a platoon and then you also got the commander's intent. Damn, I'm trying to figure out how to.
So, you know, what I would say is, like, what's your MOS?
0 and 11,
So
big
you're-
admin.
Okay,
Big
so
stable gunner.
okay, so what that means is you're going to break things down into a few categories, right? Number one, we have the unit's mission. Okay, so everything that we do, as Albert clearly articulated, ultimately supports that. Okay, that's one. Number two, you have your in the weeds 0111 responsibilities. You've got that government travel credit card manager. You've got the promotions, you know, clerk. You have the legal clerk. You know, you've got whatever else you guys are doing in there. Typical, just regular correspondence, right?
Yep.
Which is a lot, depending on. You said you're at SOI.
No, I'm now at the inbound, but I'm about to go to
Yeah.
the wing, I believe.
Okay, so but you're going to have a lot of miscellaneous correspondence that comes with that. But then you've got the, as we call, the green side stuff. What's the green side stuff? That's the Marine Corps stuff. What does that mean? That means regardless of your job in the Marine Corps, every Marine has to do this. What is that stuff?
Yeah.
Well, it's your PFT, your CFT, it's your professional military education, it's your height, it's your weight, it's your appearance, it's your promotions, it's all of that stuff. Okay, so I would be, breaking things down into those categories. I can tell you, as if I was an admin chief, no matter where I went, one of the first things, because I, as a sergeant major and a first sergeant, had to work very closely with my ADGs and my admin chiefs.
Yeah.
First thing I would do is I would get with the IPAC and I would schedule a courtesy look from, I forget what it's called, the MAT or whatever, the Mobile Admin Assist Team. Because those guys come in, dude, and you won't get a black eye. They'll come in and take like a super holistic look at what you got going on, and they will literally sit there and train your clerks. Hey, this is how you do promotions. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. So I'd be like, shoot, I want to get those guys over here, right? And as I'm focused on the unit mission, I'm going to schedule the Mobile Admin Assist team in between when I can get them to come visit us. You obviously have a lot of admin experience. I'm going to be doing my own looking and inspecting and seeing where we got some serious holes in the boat. And then, again, having the Marines on my calendar. Let's sit down.
Yeah.
Where are you with the green side training? Did you do your PME? How come you do 4 pull-ups and a wiggle? If we were in prison, you'd be holding my pocket. You expect me to be your fearless leader, and you can't even lead yourself away from the gut truck.
Listen, Barry, you are completely right, okay?
Yes.
I think you're completely right. I'm over here laughing.
Why? Because
And the reason why I'm laughing is because
I look like Luigi.
No. It
That's
had nothing to
spicy
do
meat
with
the
your
ball.
appearance. This shit's falling off. I'm just gonna take this shit off.
Okay.
The reason why I'm laughing is because, like, I'm looking at the question that you asked, right? Like, how do you hold a priority? How do you hold priorities, right? Like for your team and for your mission, based on the commander's intent and based on the mission that you have, like your daily tasks that you have to do, right? If a Lance Corporal that might be watching this comes up to me and be like, "Oh, Gunny, just so you know, I scheduled the mobile admin team to come over here and take a look," or whatever it is for your actual MOS, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at him and I'm like, "Doc, sit the fuck down." Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even though he has good initiative, that's not an initiative that gets taken at that rank.
Yeah.
That's an
Well, I'm
initiative
saying
that
for
Gunny
him
takes.
as an admin chief.
But I'm gonna tell you how he can simplify his life permanently. And I'm gonna look at the camera for this one. Because, guys, the Marine Corps, the military in general, spends millions and millions of dollars in organizational systems for you guys to utilize, and you guys do not utilize them. Let me tell you one. Teams. Everything that Barry was talking about, everything can be put on Teams. If you train Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
If you put when is the next rifle range they're going, the Marines can actually access the roster and put themselves on the actual roster.
Yeah.
You can put there when the field ops are going, so that way it falls in line with the TEEP. That way Marines are not. That way when a Marine sees the TEEP and he reads it like by bullet points, he goes like, "Oh, okay, so we need 5 Lance Corporals to go here. Okay, great. Sergeant, can I please volunteer to go on this deployment, or can I please volunteer to do this?" Like the teams, it's applicable to every MOS out there, to every job, to every section, to absolutely everything. So how do you organize that? As a staff NCO, you make sure that the Marines understand that there is a single place for that information, and that is in Microsoft Teams. Because there's several things that you're gonna realize. Specifically for admin. Okay, why is this Marines CAG access taking 3 freaking months with
I disagree.
S6?
I disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we've had MOL. I know you love Teams. You got a boner for Teams. I get it, okay? Teams is great. It's just like when they rolled out SharePoint. I remember when they rolled out Teams. I remember when they rolled out MOL. everybody had a boner. But it's all dependent on the leader using it.
100%. Yes.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I do agree with that. But
And
that's
I'm
what
sorry
saying.
I said
But
boner
that's why
so
I
many
said it.
times. But you and your testosterone's getting higher, and I can feel the erections. I'm
But
kidding.
That's
That's
why-
inappropriate.
but that's why
Valerie, I
looked in the
cannot
camera.
actually feel
That's
his
why I
erection.
looked in the camera. I looked at the camera because there's a lot of people out there that rather use this fucking outdated systems like your freaking notebook. Oh, well, dude, who can look at, if you miss that freaking notebook in your car, who else knows what the hell needs to be done? Well, yeah, you're going to look stupid because you're going to have to go to the
But you're
OIC
gonna have.
again.
But you remember being in artillery, dude. Your average cannoneer, they don't even have computer access, and you know.
But you
that.
know who has
and that's to this day.
But that's okay. The reason for it is because as an 08 Lance Corporal, you don't really need that.
Yeah.
But you know what you need? You know who
Yeah.
needs it? As soon as you pick up NCO.
I didn't want to tell you guys this, but Albert was a crazy corporal on the gun line, and he will beat you physically.
I don't know if I can beat you
to
physically.
death.
I don't know
To
if I can.
death.
But
He's a real nice guy on this podcast, and make no mistake, Corporal Ramos.
Yeah, Corporal Ramos was a fucking
He was
menace.
on the gun line. He'd tear you up there, dude. He'd be like, "You
Corporal
get the hell
Ramos was a
down there.
menace.
You get on down there." Now, go ahead.
All right, next question, because that was a lot. Can you tell me about a time where you failed, particularly as a leader, and what you did to, I guess, not necessarily bounce back, but correct or whatever it is that you
That's a good
did.
question. That's a good question. That I failed as a leader. People are gonna want to hear this from you,
Yeah.
Barry.
Yeah.
People are definitely gonna want to hear this one from you. But that I failed as a leader.
And after you answer that question,
I can tell you. There's one that comes into my mind.
Okay.
Maybe it's stupid, but to me it wasn't stupid. To
Yeah.
me it was a very big deal. And I apologize to all of my guys for this. So when I was on deployment, this happened on deployment. That's the part that made it 10 times worse. So when we were on deployment, I was in charge of the container management for the entire SP MACTF, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had my guys. Fucking out there working. It was like fucking scorching fucking hot, dude. Scorching hot. It was fucking, and I had the only vehicle. So I took the vehicle to do shit that wasn't in support of that. Mm-hmm. And then I see this mass siren rolls up. I think you were there. And when we were doing like all the container shit, and then I took the vehicle, and then the mass siren like running after the car, like right in front, because I'm going. And then he goes like, "Where the fuck have you been?" And I'm like, "Well, mass siren, I was getting food." And I was like, well, Matt Siren's like, well, your fucking guys are out there, blah, 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 doing this. And I was like, oh, fuck, man. So I went out there and I had to take a step back. And I was like, guys, I'm fucking sorry, man. I had to tell him, like, I am fucking sorry for leaving you guys out here. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to deblow. I'm going to work with you guys. And then after this, chow's on me. That is just one of the examples that I did of that I felt that probably is like one of my fucking biggest failures. Yeah. Because I always pride myself in, always being there with my guys. But that one time that I wasn't there with me, and Sergeant Medina, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There was they were fucking miserable.
So this is just like a one-time thing. Just happened, and then
yeah. But I was I was so ready, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I was fucking wrong.
Yeah.
But like this was like month 6 of a 9-month deployment, so we were already kind of like over that hump. And then I had the privilege of having a vehicle on deployment, and the fact that I used that vehicle that was not in support for helping my guys, that really got to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll get the elephant out of the room. When I got fired as a sergeant major, I was a sergeant major at VMFAT 101, and man, people, I don't know. How should I even begin this? Like,
That's a hard one for you, bro.
Well, I know everybody has their opinions, and what I always tell people most of the time is that they weren't there and they don't know. Okay, so here's the facts. Is the reason I was fired was for violating the Privacy Act, okay? And basically what that means is, and we talked about this on one of the last episodes. A lot of guys get fired, man.
Yeah.
A lot of good guys. You know, Sergeant Major Ellington. Shout out to you, brother. If you see this, Sergeant Major Whitcomb, Sergeant Major Castaneda. Those guys were phenomenal Marines, and you know, when you get up that high, it really doesn't take much. But anyways,
Yeah.
it was for violating the Privacy Act. Basically, what I did was I pulled it. I was mad. Okay. The Marine Corps, I felt, and Third Ma was really letting me get my name dragged through the mud. I'm talking, this had been going on for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 days of me just getting trashed on social media. And I kept asking my command, why don't we release an official public statement? We can say what happened. Okay, this guy already got kicked out. We were going to court-martial him. He took a plea deal. He took an OTH and an ADSEP, and we got him out of there so he could go handle his stuff in the civilian side, okay? Mm-hmm. I was mad because that Monday, and I talked to my commander about this, so he was aware of what I was going to do. I pulled in my staff NCOs, and then I pulled in my NCOs, and I said, this is what happened, okay, on this incident, okay? I know you guys are hearing a lot of stuff out there. It's all over social media. You guys are my frontline leaders. I expect you to crush the rumors. We got a flight schedule to keep. You guys need to keep the flight schedule. I don't want any distractions. And here were the facts, okay? This Marine went, number one, we have video surveillance of him going UA on other occasions from this across the Canadian border and the Mexican border, okay?
Yep.
Number two, he was picked up with about $360,000 to $400,000 wrapped in cellophane wrap, stuffed in his Willie Peter bag in a rental vehicle that had a Purple Heart sticker, a Combat Action sticker, a Sergeant sticker. He wanted this to look like his car. He had his blues in the back. He had $10,000 in the glove compartment. The rest of the money was in the trunk. And he got picked up by a task force in Coweta County. I'm telling him all this stuff, okay? He flew his lawyer out on a red eye that night, posted bail. I don't know I don't know what sergeant has their lawyer on speed dial like that, but you know, whatever. From Miramar, from California, by the way. Post bail. Coweta County, Georgia needs us to basically positively identify him, but he's not there because he posted bail. So there's like 10 hours. We don't know where he's at. Mm-hmm. My XO calls me in the morning. Okay, so he had been picked up the day prior. My XO calls me in the morning and is like, hey, we don't know where this guy's at. I said, okay, let's just monitor social media. I got a medical appointment in Camp Pendleton. Keep me updated. My CO, the colonel, and the OIC, Chief Warrant Officer 2, I think, calls me. And they're like, hey, do you want us to send a couple Marines to his place? I say, where's he live at? He lives in Oceanside. I'm like, I'm leaving the front gate right now. Send me his address. I stop by. The neighbors come out. All this stuff. I'm telling all my NCOs and my staff NCOs this, okay? Mm-hmm. One of the NCOs recorded this. All right. Sent it to the person. Then he sends it to the media, immediately hits the media. Okay. Some of the things in there that I had said. And I'm not going to lie. Some of the things were colorful because I mean, what do I care? I'm a Marine. You know, I didn't say anything wrong, whatever the case is. But, you know, I got a call from Third Ma PAO. Like, did you do this? And I was like, yeah, I did. And it was like, hey, just don't say anything else. I was like, okay, fine. They ended up launching a command investigation. And as things progressed, I didn't even know they did. I didn't even get interviewed, right? So when it came down to it, I got a call out of the blue. Hey, you're going to get fired. I didn't get a heads up from nobody. Nobody called me in. My next higher sergeant major lied and told, at the time, the third Ma sergeant major, that she told me not to give that brief, which she didn't. She told me stay off of social media. She was not read into the brief that I gave the NCOs and the staff NCOs, right? Okay. So when I got pulled in, 90% of the conversation from the freaking overweight mag CO, he looked like a food blister. I mean, he did. He did. He did. He did. And
overweight.
He did. And everybody knew it too, though. But whatever. He was a good guy, but I just told them this is unprofessional, man. And here's why. you're making this about my social media.
Yeah.
You had a target on your back. That was your Achilles heel, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so just tell me, just be real with me. You guys went to the SJA, you found the loophole of how you could fire me, make this all go away, and you took it, That situation is, like I said, that's the elephant in the room. You guys out there, you could say whatever you want. I literally hear it every single day for the past over 4 years. Not one day has gone by where some dipshit doesn't come in there and make a comment about it. And that's okay because I've moved on with my life. But that's the first one. The second one was at the beginning of my career. And it involved me and my best friend, my roommate, Private Villalobos, and a supply guy. And we went illegally out of bounds to Mexico. We didn't really have a plan. We were drinking. We pulled an all-nighter. We came back, and he drove. I was in the passenger seat. His buddy from Miramar was in the back, and we ended up getting into a car accident on the 5. And, he didn't die right then, but we both got out of the car, and I was standing right next to him, and a car came and smacked the back of his 4Runner.
Oh, damn.
And to this day, I don't know why God spared me. I don't. And we were shoulder to shoulder, man. And
Rough,
he
man.
ended
I
up.
didn't know that.
He ended up, face down, or face up. I ended up face down. And and it was like one of the scariest moments of my life. He died right there on the 5 in my arms, and and I never forgot that. And I remember looking him in the eyes. I remember his last breaths, and I remember watching him get ran over several times. And that was actually where I ended up developing my first case of PTSD was that whole scenario, because I almost died in the process as well.
Yeah.
The guy in the back seat who I never met, that was my first and last time seeing him. He walked away with a couple of broken legs and some broken ribs and a concussion. He was out. He wasn't even mentally there and stuff. I went back to the unit fully embarrassed. I thought my Marine Corps career was over. I had to call my parents. It was actually October 3rd of 1999. It was my older brother, Ben. He's my best friend. It was his birthday. And scared the heck out of everybody in my family. And, that was hard, man. My Gunny, I remember Gunny Webb. Shout out to Gunny Webb. He was a drill instructor, and we all loved him, and we still do. And he would make me get up in front of the Marines and tell them what happened, which that's a
Different times. You can't do that shit now.
That's a crash course on how to get your public speaking certification, because I didn't know what to say, but I would get up there and I'd just tell people what happened. And I remember getting NJP'd. And
for that situation?
Yeah. I remember getting NJP'd for it. I was scared. I remember, I had to have my uniform ready, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And it was just a big blur. And I just remember thinking, man, I guess I'll just get out after this. And I don't know, And we went up there for the NJP. And sorry, man. It's just
take your time, man.
It was crazy because Staff Sergeant Whippler at the time, he was from 3-6. He lap moved as a 03, came into the air wing. And it was crazy because years later I ended up going to 3-6 Kilo Company and being the first sergeant. But we'd go up there for the NJP, and nobody had my back except for him. They didn't really know me either, too. I was new, but Gunny Whippler, Staff Sergeant Whippler, he was my instructor at the schoolhouse. And man, this guy, dude, he came out of nowhere. He was like, this is the guy. Yeah. I will go anywhere with Bull. He could be one of my tow gunners. I mean, any climb, any place, I got his back. If we end this guy's career today, then we have failed, you know? And the colonel looked at me and was like, you know, what do you have to say for yourself? And, you know, I was crying, man. I mean, that was my friend and my roommate.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I said, there's nothing that you can do to me here today that I haven't already done to myself. And, you know, I am the one that's got to live with this for the rest of my life. And if I would have made better decisions, you know, my friend would still be here. But he's not.
Damn,
And
that's fucking deep, though.
Yeah.
you know, and so when I was a sergeant major, that's why I get mad when guys, they come at me online because they don't know me. And it's like, you know, you were probably burning Marines, this and a third. No, dog, because I've been there.
Yeah.
You know, and I would pull a guy in and say, hey, dude, if you have something to say, think about it. Because the CO is going to listen.
Yeah.
And the CO, you know, when I was standing there, little Lance Corporal Bull, he slammed the book shut. And he kicked me out, and that was man JP. I didn't get busted down. He gave me a page 11. He's like, I've never heard anybody say anything like that in my life. And I meant that, though. You know, I meant it. Like, I had to sit there and tell this, you know, my roommate's parents how their only son, spent his last moments on the planet, and they didn't speak English, you know. And I had to have a translator, a staff sergeant, who spoke Spanish from another platoon, and they were all crying. And his dad, I remember his dad ran away, dog. I'm at the barracks, in barracks 2405 over there, which is gone now, next to the chow hall in 24 area. His dad ran away so he could throw up, you know?
Yeah.
And
That's fun.
and I got reminded of just, you know, that mistake.
Yeah.
And it's always stayed with me. So I know it's a long answer, and I apologize.
No, man, I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you sharing that, man. Like,
So I not to touch anymore on, you know, that subject because I know it's a touchy one, but since then, I guess how did that change, you know, how you lead and I guess how you view things that Marines do, like on Libo or just, you know, expressing that, you know, like safety briefs. Some people like take safety briefs like a little bit, you know, not to the extreme, but they take the extra 5 minutes to, you know, say hit certain things because of situations that you have been in. So I guess, just to go back to my question, how has that changed you, you know, ever since that situation as a leader?
Yeah, it just made me feel like I've always been on borrowed time. You know, God, like in the Bible, it says, you know, if you want your days to count, you got to count the days.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just made me really appreciate every day and every moment. And we are the sum total of the decisions that we made and that we make. And my life could have been over at 19 years old, man, right then, just like V. You know, and for some reason, God spared me. And it's made life for me so much sweeter, you know, every day, man, seriously.
man, I'm gonna tell you this, man. I not even me. I've never heard that. I never heard that story, man. So thank you for sharing. Guys, we're gonna do a part 2 to this episode because this is a lot to take in, dude. Like, quite honestly, it's a lot to take in. Yeah. I definitely appreciate you, Tony, for asking us this question, kind of flipping the script because you've been doing most of the questions, and we've been doing some of the most of the answers as well.
And as you can see, I'm not good at this question asking shit because honestly, like after the first question, I answered like the 37 more that I have follow on to that. So fuck y'all fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie.
No, man. It's just that you know, whenever you're passionate about this type of stuff, I think the answers come naturally because we kind of know how the flow of things. We know it's a domino effect. Like when you start something, all these other things are gonna fall into place. But Tony, where can people reach out to you at?
Social media, YRF Tony on all platforms: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I think that's all that I use.
Be on the lookout because Tony's about to be a real estate professional. Okay, I'm gonna make sure of that. Barry, where can people reach out to you at?
You guys know where to hit me at. Instagram at Bull5277, TikTok at Bull52772, YouTube, the A to B podcast. Go there, subscribe, hit that little notification bell. That way, when we upload fresh, tasty content for you guys, it's for you, all right? You're going to get notified. And we love all the engagement. We really appreciate it, whether it's good, bad, and different, because it helps us, and we hope that it helps you, all right? Click the link in my bio, schedule a call. The call is free. The change will last you a lifetime.
Let's go, guys. So make sure that you guys like, follow, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And make sure you guys go on our social media, Ramos_Capital. If you got any questions regarding anything regarding with real estate and mortgage questions in all 50 states, hit me up and I'll answer any type of questions that you guys might have. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.